just for good luck. Good morning, neighbors, and welcome to the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. I just stream on YouTube and on Facebook. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for watching us. Of course, it is the R's show. Yep, we just heard from Paul Richards. We'll hear from the birthday boy himself. Yes, it's Richard Raghubar Singh's birthday. So we'll hear from him shortly. Of course, we got Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. Let's see what's happening on the highways and on the byways, as well as give you a quick weather update, see what's happening for our weather for Trinidad and Tobago. All right, you've got traffic from Trinidad City to pretty much Paje, and after that is pretty much not too bad heading into Port of Spain. All right, head down San Fernando, got nothing to tell you about. Heading north on the Solo, nothing on Rivulet Roads. After you pass Freeport is where you're going to pick up your traffic towards Chigagones, and then volume from Endeavor heading down. Going through Chin Chin Road on the southern main road, you've got a Kelly Village has got some traffic. Nothing out to the west, out of Maraval, you're beginning to build. All right, that's your traffic update for you. Hope it helped you out in one way or the other. Of course, let's check the weather. Of course, it is 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport. It is 28 degrees at Crown Point in Tobago. And let's see, they're saying today is going to be partly cloudy intervals with a few showers and a medium. 40% chance of a few heavy showers, thunderstorms. All right, this evening will be fair with a few odd showers. Checking our temps. Across our listenership, you're 9 degrees in Toronto. Miami, you're at 25. Orlando, 19. New York, 8. Atlanta, you're at 10. London, 12. Tampa, 19. Washington, D.C., you're at 6. And our listener out in Los Angeles, California, you're at 15 degrees. I'll just tell you, Dubai is 35 degrees. All right, so that's some temps. Hope to help you out in one way or the other. All right, so let's get into the guys. Let me say good morning, going out to the one, the only, Dr. Paul Richards.
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone.
Morning, pal. How you doing?
Good morning to Dr. Rowley. Also, he's celebrating his birthday today.
Actually, today is Dr. Rowley's birthday. Today would also have been Brother Resistance's birthday, and our good friend and my pal, Christian, all will be celebrating birthday.
All of them on the same day?
All of them on the same day. Yes, today is Dr. Rowley's birthday. Yeah, morning, Patos.
Prime Minister.
Yeah, good morning to you, Prime Minister.
Happy birthday to Richard Raghubar Singh also.
Yeah, waiting for him. Let's see who sent us. I did not say the hellos on my stream this morning. So Wendy Ann James, Oliver Man Warren, Edwin Marshall. Edwin says great Tuesday morning to all gentlemen. Hope the expected rain later doesn't bring any flooding. I know it had flooding in South and Penang yesterday. DP in Boston, Ewart Ratchpole, Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yep, you're waking up to a warmer temp than yesterday. Carol Guevara, good morning. Marcia Rock, always locked on. Wayne B out in Covington, Georgia. Got Celia out in Valencia. Carol Joseph, good morning to you. Mo Gaines out in Aruca. Rennie Mohammed, Wayne Joseph, and Marcia Rock is saying happy birthday to Dr. Rowley. Beefy Smith out in Tobago. Good morning. Yeah. Dr. Rowley will be how old today? 73?
I think so.
I think so too. 70. Okay. Yeah, he's catching up on you, Paul.
What's that?
He's catching you up.
And if that was so, I would not have a problem with it.
Is he in the country?
I could not be 20 and 21 now. It's too complicated to be 20 and 21 thing now.
Well, my mind says I'm 18 years old. My body is saying a different story.
Clearly.
You see, this morning, I'm in so much pain.
And why is that?
I came out yesterday. Yesterday evening when I got home, it was after about 5:30, and I went to give two cats a little walk in the yard, and it was wet. I was wearing my slippers, and I slipped, and I fell back for the tiles. I hit my head. I was in I'm still in so much pain right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was bad last night. I could sit, but to get up, oh geez and ages. So I took too much relaxers last night, and
But that's what you have to do. Flamax, or where's the other one?
It's Flamax I took.
The other one, Cataflam.
Oh gosh, no, I ain't taking that. That don't agree with me at all.
Well,
that does not agree
once
with
it
me
stops
at
the pain.
all. But yeah, oh my gosh, talk about pain. The commodity card just now. Oh geez and ages.
Good morning to you, Trinidad and Tobago. What's happening in the news?
Nothing really. I see social services are going to the home of those two kids, as you read in the newscast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it begs the question, that's just one we know of. How many are like that? Do we know?
Well,
it
seems in this case that the parents have some sort of intellectual difficulties or some challenges. And hence the situation where the children were found unsupervised and walking unkempt. From my memory of the report, one child had a dirty diaper in his hand, and the other child was just rolling around, and they were both seemingly under 4 years old. So I don't know that is a situation that should be allowed to continue. And intellectual disabilities or no, and particularly if they're intellectual disabilities, some sort of arrangement should be made for some different level of supervision for those children, because in any case, the children were left unsupervised, and that is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the fact that they have intellectual difficulties should be a mitigating factor of leaving those children still in their care without some sort of intervention, because, I mean, you're just asking for trouble. What's to say that they're going to do it again? And have not done it several times in the past. I guess we're just very lucky that the police were passing at that time and saw what was happening. But clearly the neighbors knew that this was a regular occurrence. And I'm surprised the Children's Authority or the police were not called before.
Mm-hmm.
The reporter also said the neighbors said that was pretty normal, and the parents would go out and come back in later in the night and leave these children unsupervised. So I don't know. That situation can't be allowed to continue, because it's going to have dire consequences for those children down the road. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
A very controversial court matter is going before the Privy Council today for final ruling. It's been long and coming. Trinidad and Tobago activist, if I could call him that, Jason Jones, has been fighting this case for about 5 to 6 years now. And I said it's a very controversial case, which is going to evoke a lot of response and emotion, and in some cases vitriol. And he's fighting to get the sodomy laws removed from our law books. Because in his opinion, two consenting adults should be able to do what they want in the bedroom. So that is going to be dealt with at 9 this morning in the Privy Council. I know it's a very evocative topic in Trinidad and Tobago. Once sex involved, you know what has happened.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has an opinion on how everybody else is supposed to live. And then they're going to drag the Bible into it and every other religious book, and we will see. But he's been waiting a while. Former Attorney General Faris Alawi was asked about it many years ago, And he said that the government's position was that they were awaiting the outcome of the Privy Council ruling for whatever the decision is to become settled law in this situation. I don't think it's the kind of case that any so-called conservative government wants to take on, because it has implications for the base on how they feel about particular lifestyles and particular life choices. You understand? So sodomy is still in our law books. So you can be charged for sodomy in any case, male and female, male and male, female and female. And we will see how that happens. Jason will be our guest coming up after 7 o'clock to give us more context on the case. And I'm sure we will hear the ruling by later on this afternoon, which, as I said before, is going to bring quite a bit of social media chatter. You know? Could be the subject of our question this morning, because it's going to be a very, no matter what the outcome, controversial. Right? I think there's let me see, there's an article in the Express, Sexual Offenses and the Law, which is really focused on rape. I think they're doing a series on rape as a sex crime. You know? The youngest parliamentarian made his debut yesterday.
Yes, Elon Francis.
He was very, very good.
Was he?
Very good.
Nice.
He was great content, great balance, great speaking, presentation skills. Very, very, very up to mark. He was very good. I'd give him an 8 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Nice.
very, very good. Very good. For somebody that young to be so composed in that kind of environment, I was very, very impressed. So congratulations to young Senator Elon Francis on his election in the Senate. Of course, he spoke a lot about youth and getting youth involved in the decision-making processes in Trinidad and Tobago, and also getting youth involved in crime fighting. He spoke, of course, because he's a Calypsonian and an entertainer, a lot about the creative industries, and he made a lot of sense. He said, from his reading of the budget, all he saw was primarily, and I'm paraphrasing here, of course, measures to bring more tourists. But he didn't see the kind of measures that he'd hoped for to bring, to develop what brings the tourist here, which is our culture, primarily. Yes, we have beaches and sand and things, but everybody else have that in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
What makes the difference in Trinidad, Tobago, and Jamaica in particular is the cultures of the country. And he didn't see a lot of measures in the budget to help develop the creatives and the artists, etc. I think he was very, very good. It's very good. Fresh, young perspective, which is, to me, excellent, you know. Dr. Shada Patterson also made her debut yesterday. She is the daughter of Mangal Patterson. She's a satirist and a cultural academic. And she also spoke about looking at budgeting from a more indigenous place and taking some of the lessons of the First Peoples and the way they look at, the way they run their civilization and they run their villages and their social affairs, because they're very environmentally conscious and they are more egalitarian in the way they distribute the wealth in their societies. The American Indians and the Trinidad and Tobago First People. So they were both very, very, very good. So we had 3 of the 4 new independent senators speak already. Suniti Maraj spoke on Friday. She's a veteran journalist, so she was very stable. And today, Professor Jared Hutchinson is going to make his debut. So, you know.
Wonderful. I saw there was a rumor yesterday too that Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar suffered a mild stroke, which of course was not true. But that so made it round.
Somebody sent it to me, whom I shall not name. And from the time I saw the use of the name Sushila, I knew it was mischief. And I told the person that.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Because the meme, if you could call it, with the graphic, didn't have Kamla Prasad-Bissessar suffers mild stroke. It had Sushila suffered stroke. And every time I saw that, I said, this is some propaganda. Good morning and happy birthday, Mr. Raghubar Singh.
Hey, Richie Rich, happy birthday.
Thank you so much, guys. Good morning. Yes, I saw that message yesterday, and I thought the same thing, Paul.
Yeah, if I saw Kamla Prasad-Bissessar suffered mild stroke, I said, oh, this is concerning. Every time I saw the banner Sushila suffered stroke, I said, yeah, this is propaganda. I told the person that. I said, because I just dismissed it. I didn't even give it any other mind. I didn't send it to anybody. I didn't ask any questions. And then a couple of minutes after, about half an hour after, I saw the newspapers saying that Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar and the team had debunked this rumor. I said, okay, there you go. There's always know the propagandists usually use certain phrases and, keywords.
Yeah.
You get any messages, boy?
Hey, your phone will light up today, Richie Rich.
You get any messages? You get any messages?
No. There's just some cousins from all over.
Yeah, you get any messages? It's
Mean messages.
Mean
messages.
One of the senior parliamentarians in the government bench with a big bag of presents. I said, "Oh, present? Where's all that?" He said, "The boss birthday is tomorrow." He said, "The boss birthday is tomorrow." I said, "Okay, that's true." I said, "Yes, Richard Raghubar Singh's birthday is tomorrow." So watch him. What? I said, "Yes, Richard Raghubar Singh." He said, "What?" I shall not name the minister. I shall not name the minister, but it would have implications for foreign and CARICOM affairs.
Oh, that's not naming him at all. It certainly stayed clear of that.
I didn't want to divulge at all any identity. But he was very jocular. So he said, apparently they pooled and gotten the boss man some presents.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
We didn't put and get you anything. So
you'll get nothing and you'll enjoy it.
But maybe one of the things in the bag was for you. So you never know.
Yeah.
But he was telling me earlier, and I forgot that today would have been the late Christian's birthday also.
Yep, it is.
And the Brother Resistance.
Yep.
What a bunch of different people born on the same day.
Yep. All of us on the same day.
Well, you and Dr. Rowley are very alike in so many ways.
Oh, he likes to act?
Well, part of politics is acting. Part of politics is acting very often. I'm sure when you see him on the floor of the parliament, it's not that he's angry, it's theatrical.
Theatrical.
Yeah, political theatrics. And you're both, to me, very, very pragmatic, practical people. So much so that you could both come off as coldish sometimes. But you're both very practical and pragmatic. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, we may have that streak. Yeah. We may have that streak.
You're both quite insightful in your own special ways.
And then I remember last time I went was years ago. We met him and he was introducing me to somebody. And he said, Richard and I share the same birthday. And I said, yes, but you're so many years ahead of me, Prime Minister.
You did not.
Is he 73 or 72 today?
Oh, Prime, I don't know how much he is,
I think he's 73.
Wendell would know that. That is something Wendell would know.
Yeah.
Wendell, how old is the Prime Minister today?
He looks very, 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 very good for his age. Very good for his age.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the 73-year-old could rock a hoodie and a t-shirt and get away with it. Although he didn't get away with it too much. But I mean,
It was much commentary.
Celeste is saying 74. Well, he looks very, very good. He takes care of himself.
I remember when he was 69 because there was this bogey, and when they correct me if I'm wrong, that at 69 was this age you had to get past in terms of prime ministers. In terms of prime ministers, PNM leaders. And
Yeah,
he,
he got
he's
past it.
74. Wendell says he's 74.
Yeah. 74. All right.
Yeah.
But he looks good. You look okay.
Yeah. So he's sending me, what is he sending me? His top card? Or is Steve?
So we were discussing earlier on, Richard, the case that's coming up later on this morning.
What's
We're
that?
gonna
Which
talk-
case? All right,
Jason
right. Jason Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would have been the case that caused, well, should I say furor? Well, much commentary at the time. And that was several years ago now.
Is the Privy Council right? Is going to right?
No, it's going to the Court of Appeal.
Court of Appeal in Trinidad and Tobago, or my mistake? I apologize.
The Court of Appeal. And I think it's
only
coming up.
Court of Appeal here?
Yeah, it's coming up. It's now before the Court of Appeal. After all
I
these
thought it had
years.
gone past that stage already.
No, after all of these years. And usually matters don't take that long.
And that's why I thought it was already at the Privy Council. So whatever the ruling, if whoever is upset with it, they're going to.
Well, go to it's probably going to end up at the Privy Council. Even though, quite frankly, I don't know what was the reason for the state really appealing. I mean, it concerns a percentile of your citizens. So why would you appeal? Quite frankly, but they did, and I know at the time Faris Al-Rawi, who was the AG at the time, did say that he did infer that it was going to go to the Privy Council. So in terms of whoever, it was going to eventually be a Privy Council decision. So we'll see how it all plays out, but we will be interviewing Jason because it's coming up tomorrow before the Court of Appeal, and so we'll be interviewing Jason Jones.
This morning. Anyway.
If what?
I thought it was this morning.
No, it's tomorrow morning.
Okay, all right.
The 25th. I think it's when it's coming up.
We shall see how that goes.
Yeah.
What else is happening in the news this morning? I was telling Steve that earlier on that Senator Helon Francis made his debut yesterday.
I saw a bit of that on news
I thought
yesterday.
he was quite good. Very stable, great presentation skills. Balanced content to me.
I think he talked about the entertainment hub.
Yeah.
And
No, but I like the perspective that he said, and I don't think it was fully accurate because I know there's some investment in local creatives. I know there was these exposés, cultural exposés, and I can't remember what they call them at parks and squares and stuff. But he said, in his opinion, and I'm paraphrasing here, enough wasn't being done to invest in the development of the culture, which is what brings the tourist. He saw a lot of talk about the infrastructure to bring tourists, which is fine. But what brings the tourist here, in his opinion, is the culture. You understand? As a differentiator from other islands that have sea and sand and all that. And he thought more emphasis should be placed on that. Guess who made an appearance yesterday too?
who? You?
As a temporary UNC senator.
Who?
Dr. Carson Charles.
Oh, serious?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, well, apparently, well, not apparently, he was the president of, is it NIDCO or NIPDEC? One of the two, which was in charge of the highway to Point Fortin, the controversial highway to Point Fortin, which I think they finished the last piece the other day.
But I don't think they finished all of it,
Well, they finished most of it. So
Yeah.
he came to debunk the PNM narrative of the last 2 years, that corruption and this and that, and he made a point I agree with about big projects in this country. We need to get mature enough in this country to tackle big projects, and the only way we can tackle big projects is that it has to go past a 5-year cycle, and we need to be mature enough to understand that you can't get big projects done, like massive projects done, in 5 years. And even if a government changes, it needs to continue, which it has, He said we could battle about the nuances, they could have this and that, he said, but we need to get mature enough as a country, which I agree with. And then he sought to debunk who hired OAS Constructura, that extremely corrupt company, which is now defunct, you understand? And others, and he sought to lay the blame at the feet of the PNM in 2014, just before the UNC picked up in well, just before the UNC started in 2010, sorry, right? Or something like that. And so he went on to say it was the PNM should ask themselves why OAS Constructura was one of the people who were able to bid, etc. So when he was finished, of course, he threw a lot of ammunition on the PNM side. Rishi Sukai, Minister Rishi Sukai, came up and pulled up some documents which saw, guess who? Dr. Carson Charles, as the person who signed off on the liability waiver for OAS Constructura days before the election that the UNC lost. You know, somebody keep message me People's Partnership with UNC. Same difference. You understand? And he is the person who signed off on the liability, and we ask him, why would you sign off on a liability waiver? And they said, well, we don't blame you because you were just taking instructions. Who gave you the instructions? And you know the normal political banter that took place. So he was quite silent at that point.
The San Fernando to Point Fortin highway, is that the longest stretch of highway in the country?
If you consider the whole thing from north,
Yeah,
Well,
if you want to
from
consider
north.
from the Eastern Main Road heading straight down up.
if you consider the whole thing as a continuum from north, because it continues, it starts at north and doesn't stop at San Fernando. The extension starts at San Fernando. Is the whole thing called the same thing?
No clue.
I don't know, you know.
But my neighbor drove on it.
No,
He said it's
no.
a nice piece of road. He took 1 hour from Point Fortin to Port of Spain the other day. And
I
it had-
think no matter who started, who finished it, who built it, it was necessary.
yeah, needed to be done.
I think it changes name because I saw it referenced. I was reading some article in the newspaper and they called it some other name. I can't remember the name right now. And I was, is that what they're calling it? I think it's named after maybe somebody from Point Fortin.
Ramsey Curtin.
No, it wasn't Rienzi Curtin. It was somebody else. Maybe one of our listeners could message and comment in the comment section. But there was a different name they used. And I said, they're using a different name. Is that what it's called? In my mind, at the point I was reading the article.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But I mean, I haven't used it. I mean, I used to work in Point Fortin at a period.
The piece that starts at San Fernando and goes to turn off to deeper San Fernando and Siparia and stuff is an excellent piece of road. That piece that passes by C3 and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I think that highway, that's why I agree with Dr. Carson Charles, that mega projects for this country, if we were to try to build a railway or any very huge project, we have to be mature enough to understand, even if a government changes, those projects need to continue. That is what made the difference in Panama, you know. They realized that they had the same political toing and froing that we had. And the then government, this is about 30, 40 years ago in Panama, realized that, you know what, this canal is really the future of this country. And it cannot be subject to the whims and fancies of governments changing, because they had a flip-flop government changing situation also. So they brought the opposition together at the time, the trade unions, private sector, and they had a discussion and they put something in their constitution that said that if they voted for a mega project, that no government could stop it. So much so that Panama Canal has ushered in an era of prosperity in Canada like never before. And they're building another one, almost finished. You understand? And to me, it is innovation to think about it. There are many countries, if 60 years ago, they were thin little, there's an isthmus, that's what it's called that, an isthmus. It's not an archipelago. I think it's an isthmus.
No, it's not an archipelago. Yeah.
Right, a thin piece of land, limited land space, right? That is this little piece of land. Many would have thought it was a disadvantage, but they saw it as a conduit between two big ocean masses. You understand?
It is called an isthmus, you're right.
It's an isthmus, right? The geography wasn't that bad. I think I got an E. And they used that as a competitive advantage, undertook this massive project because it is a technological marvel. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
When you see the water level raise and the ship levels raise from part to part, how they get these ships through by literal science, hydraulics. When the ship goes through and then they fill it with water and the ship goes up and they go to another level and it goes up to another level. It's a technological marvel to see in action. And they embarked on that project, which took over 10 years. You understand? To even get to a rudimentary stage, and created one of the most lucrative pieces of real estate in the world.
Yep.
Because other than that, they had to go down to South America and come wrong, You understand?
Yep.
Which is fuel and cost.
Yep.
So they never, and then it's so, Panama City is one of the most thriving cities and built up cities in the world. So you have to look at what your competitive advantage is and understand that mega projects that are in the interest of the country will have to span different administrations. And there's a level of maturity we slowly get into, but we're not there yet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Archibald de Leon Highway. That's what somebody told me. The Archibald de Leon Highway, named after two of the greatest footballers, goes from Point 14. So that's what it's called. The Archibald/de Leon Highway. All right.
Right. I knew it was a different name, and it was like
Right, I didn't even know that. This is the first time I'm seeing this. I guess I missed it all in the news. So that was the excitement, yes. But of course, Carlton Charles is a veteran, so he just started to lay licks very early. You understand? And then he was saying the PNM needs to thank the UNC for the highway, because the highway they opened the other day is just all it is putting windows and electrical in an already built foundation. And then Rishi Sukai got up and said, no, but this document that you signed said it was 30-something% finished. So what is the truth? So facts are a difficult thing. But it was quite entertaining. Dr. Shada Patterson also contributed a statement earlier on. And of course, she, being a cultural academic and creative, also spoke about the importance of looking at solutions through the eyes of indigenous people and the way they run their societies. Because they have solutions that have worked for centuries, eons, So there's only
but I know the Minister of Works has referenced that in 1967 there was a road network plan that was done, even though I distinctly remember under the Patrick Manning regime that there was also a road network plan done, and I think it cost millions and millions and millions of dollars. I remember discussing it at the time and saying so many millions of dollars to plan out roads. You're not even building the roads, eh? This is just the plan. And but the strange thing about it is that Minister Sinnanana is saying that it's from a 1967 plan, and I remember distinctly that there was an updated plan done under Patrick Manning. And I remember Patrick Manning articulating that no city or town should be more than 30 minutes away from anywhere else in Trinidad in terms of the road network.
When he said that, he didn't cater for the million cars. And I think they listened to us, because you cannot build a road your way out of traffic. You have to public transport your way out of traffic. Right? Which is what Sukai said, which we've been saying for so long on this show. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much road you build, if you don't have an effective public transportation system, people will buy cars to get around. And that's the problem. So I just laughed when I heard it, with the greatest of respect to Minister Sukai, telling me about PTSC and the app at this stage, which the minister promised 2 budgets ago. PTSC taking the longest ever to develop an app in the world. It's the longest development of an app in the world, PTSC. In the world. The ministry head start an app after them and finish it. PTSC can't finish after tell you a bus on the way. PTSC is the worst. And until they fix PTSC, forget it. Forget it.
Yeah.
PTSC is the problem. As I said, that massive traffic congestion we experienced last week, Monday, in Port of Spain, it wasn't a flooding issue. It was a public transportation issue. You understand? Because it has there are too many cars, because we have a weak, inefficient, piss poor public transportation system. I hope Tat don't get vexed with the word piss. If you are offended, Tat, I apologize by the word piss. You know they're jumpy these days.
Yep.
Carlisle Cupid is saying the Panama Canal was a U.S. government project conceived and constructed by the U.S. government after the U.S. facilitated the independence of Panama from the Bolivarian Revolution. Well, they built it. I don't know about the nuances, whether it's a U.S. government project or not, but they built it.
Yeah, Trinidadians worked on that too, you know. A lot
So
of
I look at
Caribbean,
everything.
yeah, Caribbean people, a lot of Caribbean people went across the Panama to assist in that. There's a whole history of that whole canal and how it was done.
When I hear about PTC, it stoops. $400 million a year, a little over that, to serve under 4% of the population. And now the excuse is, well, during COVID, supply chain interruptions, so we don't have parts for the buses and stuff. Or you had problems before COVID. Or you had a real problem before COVID, PTSD. Don't even blame COVID for you, or your mismanagement, or your underperformance. Please.
Yeah. I think
PTSD is a waste of time and money. It is present incarnation, a waste. Remember Minister Sininan came and told us they develop an app before the last budget?
But when we spoke to the previous manager, general management, or chairman, I don't know which one it was, of PTSC, when they had stopped the LDAM program, which used to send buses around to specifically pick up people who are physically disabled. And we were questioning, well, why would you have stopped something like that? And he kind of hedged and hawed and went all around the mulberry bush and then back around and then cut across. And it was like, I don't know, but all of the people who use that LDAM, well, tough, that's it, it's gone. And his excuse was
any bus service
his main buses were in fact now equipped, or they were getting main buses that were equipped to deal with the physically challenged. And the point I was making to him, Trinidad and Tobago is not a society where bus stops are accessible to physically disabled people. All bus stops are not.
Bus stops are housing for homeless people in this country.
So I felt the LDAM was
it was a very good thing.
It's something that they should have continued.
They should have kept. But if a national public transportation corporation could decide on a public holiday for people who need less transport or no transport, something wrong with them. Something wrong. Because the board and management of PTSC all have cars. That's why they can do that. It's an incompetent institution in this country and has been for decades. Will they even start me on Citygate?
Well, that's another issue. But just to say, Karen Yepna was just saying that it's the Mosquito Creek segment that's not completed yet. No, but you're right. That whole Citygate thing, because it's a whole beautiful structure on one side. I mean, in terms of the legacy structure, that you can build into something that's spectacular. And then that whole side that goes down to the taxis, they need to reformat
what do you call member side?
The side that where you have to go up the stairs and down the stairs.
They call member side.
Which is the same, basically, from when we used to go to school, because you used to use that side to go and take a bus.
Which is 35 years ago.
And there is no modernization of
and
it.
They don't, because you always say they don't think the people of Trinidad deserve more. They just don't seem to think so, or better.
Citygate should be comfortable like a mini airport hub, because it's so many people traversing there.
And it could generate income as a hub.
Yes.
Not only that, I read last week that they're going to talk about the $2 fee that you have to use the washrooms at Citygate.
That's as far as they could think about. That is the big burning issue for PTSD management.
You understand?
Whether or not to have a $2 fee to use the conveniences. That is the strategic development PTSD management and board to think about. Whether or not to remove a $2 fee to use a urinal.
Yeah.
And while the app is the longest waiting app in development in the history of the globe. Do you have papers, Raghu Singh? Just tap me on
No, sorry, I
PTSD.
don't have that. I don't have papers today. Sorry.
PTSD is a waste of time and money. Okay, it is Tuesday, the 24th of October. Let's start with the news day. Veterans journalists salute BC Pires. Kamla, UNC debunked illness rumors.
Did you all talk
John?
about BC?
Yeah, well, yesterday.
Yeah, because he was once a co-host on this Power What
Yeah,
Breakfast
we
show.
cited that. Mhm.
Yeah, he was once I was a co-host with him. Oh my God.
John Pianum should thank Kamla. Sale of CL Financial Malls progressing. Joint liquidators tell court. I don't know why they don't just finish off with Trinity more than done. Every time you go in that mall, if you go every week, 5 more stores close down.
Where in Trinity?
Juvenile prison inmates alleged beating at women's prison in 2015.
Which mall is that?
Trinity Mall.
Mm-hmm.
Prison commissioner
so many
wounded
people still
officer
go to that
recovering
mall,
well.
though.
Cal increases domestic capacity in October. Of course, Tobago Carnival is this weekend. Cox, 260 reports of elder abuse in 2023. Let's move to the Express Online now for today. Rich versus poor. Senator Hazel Thompson on her contribution. Popular view of what crime is committed by poor black boys that's been perpetuated by successive government, while white-collar criminals basically excluded. Thanks, BC, for changing how I see the world. Doctor shortage. The new central block of the Port of Spain General Hospital will be a specialist and subspecialist teaching hospital, according to Health Minister Terence Deyalsingh. Charles, legal protections are in place for Point Fortin Highway. All right, let's move to where's the Guardian? The Guardian Online for today. OSH begins probe into WASA workers' death. Hines expelled students still has options to succeed. Hislop, not seeing development in Tobago despite budget allocations. Julian John tells government focused on record murders, not 3.7% unemployment rate. Charles defends PP's handling of Point Fortin Highway deal. THA executive hires private jet to flee Tammy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he hired a private plane from Montserrat or Martinique or somewhere to go back to Tobago.
Who paid for that?
Who's this?
Let me delve into the article.
I'll get it here.
Tobago House of Assembly Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Assemblyman Trevor James, chartered a private jet. Well, a private aircraft, let me be accurate.
Private aircraft.
To return from Martinique on Sunday, a tropical storm Tammy near the island. James yesterday said he was footing the bill for the flight, and it was his private arrangement. Guardian Media understands the cost of the charter. U.S. registered craft N41148 is between $5,000 and $9,000 US. Papa, yo.
Forex.
Those are trending stories in your Guardian Express Newsday. It's a big shot. Damn. Yeah,
And
bad boy.
with the media, he hung up the phone.
They go find out, you know.
Play with the big boys. What is this song?
Play with the big boys. Play with the big boys. I wish I had a private jet number on my phone to call for private jet.
I'm feeling for a little dinner in Paris tonight.
Let me
What
just
time
call.
you leave at around 1 o'clock?
Yes. I'll be at the airport. The private side of the airport. I'm not going through the normal routes.
Oh my God. I'm sure there are people who live those kind of lives.
Oh, yes.
Of course they do.
None of them are my friends.
Anyway, those are trending stories. It's 6:50. What is the question this morning?
Oh, let me just add before we get into the question. Of course, it's circulated on social media with the pod of orcas that was spotted off.
Yes, that was interesting.
Tobago. Yeah, they were
That's
last spotted off the Gulf of Paria. They were seen by Gaspar Grande. Yeah, the last time a pod of orcas came through, they were spotted off the Hibiscus platform in eastern coast of Trinidad back in March 11th. So, yeah.
Currently, when you have parking by the parliament, you're big.
I see there's another video. There was a robbery outside the Hyatt. Some folks were fishing off the by the Hyatt there, and they were
No, I
robbed.
stand corrected. He didn't charter the jet by himself. He chartered the jet with two others who were coming to Trinidad. Woo. So they split the cost. Woo.
All right.
I didn't see the man do nothing wrong, you know. I just say he's a big shot. Anyway, what's the question this morning, sis? I don't know where to start.
Let's start at the very beginning. It's always a very good place to start.
Do that.
Karen, I don't have a
Let me read out the poll from yesterday. Our poll yesterday is: do you think bribes are still passing at the licensing office? That was our poll yesterday. The results are in. 89% said yes. All right, this morning's poll.
I see you busy typing. Were you typing a poll there, Paul?
Yes, I am. Do you think PTSC is an effective mass transit agency? My question. Skip. Is that agreeable to you both?
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those kinds of questions you can ask at any time.
Right, that's what we go with this morning. We're talking public transportation this morning.
Do you think PTSC is effective as a mass transit agency? That's our poll this morning. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. Yes, you can call us toll-free, North Americans, and weigh in on this poll. You can have an opinion. And of course, people on the web and app, you'll have to send your votes via the comment section on our YouTube stream. Do you think PTSC is effective as a mass transit agency?
You know, Wendell and myself both noticed that the bus shelter by Mount Hope, there is one on the northern side of Mount Hope, one on the southern side. The one on the northern side disappeared. It's not there anymore. So if you're waiting for a bus or a maxi,
I don't know where, you know.
I don't know where that one went.
I just don't, and they don't understand it's a whole ecosystem for a public transportation system. It's a whole ecosystem. You have to think as an ecosystem. You have to think people must want to go by the bus stops. There must be information available.
But we have some votes coming in. Wayne B says no. Wayne Joseph says no from Ontario, Canada. Richard Duku says no, they have a long way to go. Trini in Boston says no. Jerron Joseph says no to the poll. Winston Jones says no to the poll.
Yeah. Wayne Joseph in Canada would know when I was there that you would call a telephone number. Each bus stop has a telephone number. And call and will tell you when the bus is going to get there.
Steve,
and bet $1 it would be there on time.
There are digital signs that can be at all the bus terminal stops. Okay? It's 2023.
Exactly. But that was back then. Good morning, caller.
The bus is arriving.
Yeah. Morning. Good morning. One more time. Not there.
You would swear PTSC board and management do travel.
Yeah.
Out of the country.
I'm sure there's an app now that will tell you location when the next bus is going to arrive.
And it's only excuses. If you hear excuses, some ministers look at your stable PTSC.
Marvel on the road says, hell no.
And this mass transit policy that taken forever to do, and oh my God.
Julia S. Batiste says, good morning, guys. Happy birthday, Richard. No to the poll. Thanks, Julia, for the happy birthday greetings.
And effective.
All of the people on the comment section said happy birthday. Thank you. Kenny in Harlem. Good morning, gentlemen. I say no to the poll.
All right, let's grab this call before you get the other one.
Says no to the poll. Yeah, go on, Steve.
Good morning, caller. Good morning. Moving on. Good morning.
Hello.
Morning.
Hi, good morning, all.
Good morning.
Mrs. R.
My answer is no. Morning, love of my life. Happy birthday, sugar pie. I'm telling you publicly now.
Thank you.
We told him privately before.
Yeah, you told him privately.
Of course, I will tell him privately. Duh. That is my Mr. R. So, good
You
morning again.
told him or you showed him?
I showed him and I will show him again.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
have a
That's
great
why he logged in a little late this morning.
everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, everything, Paul. Every single thing.
He had a different connection earlier. He logged in by you earlier, and then he logged in after right here.
Oh, I'm glad you know it. That's my boo. So lots of love. Bye.
Dinner later. Charter a jet to take him somewhere.
There we go. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. No.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. One more time. Good morning, caller. Listen on your phone. Moving on. Good morning.
Romantic passionate lover says no.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandino.
All righty.
Look like 100% poll today.
Beauty culture says hell no.
Yeah.
It's
Susie
really,
B.
a wicked question. Eh?
Yeah. Susie B says no.
I got that
Good morning,
already. Edward
PTSD.
Marshall says no to the poll.
And they're paying them every day, you know. A proper mass transit system generates employment, is better for public safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
It
Until it's 2 days, they're not working, Paul. November 12th and 13th, it's 2 public holidays.
Yeah.
They don't work on a public holiday.
Carla Cooper says no, the buses should be sold to private owners, but they should be regulated and administered by the state.
we should ask if they should privatize PTSC. We go ask that tomorrow. Should they privatize PTSC?
We can
Like actually work.
And the buses need a wash. Good morning. Good morning, caller. How art thou? Thou art well. Okay.
Karen says, what about PH taxis? You know, maxi taxis do a hell of a lot better job than PSC getting people around there. Which are also
Gillian
part of the
Denner-
mass transit system.
Well, Gillian Denner says CJ from New York. Happy birthday, Richard. No to the poll. Thank you, Gillian. Beauty Culture also says happy birthday to me. Thank you, Beauty Culture. But I've duly recorded your vote, Gillian.
Carol Guevara says no.
Our question this morning. Do you think PTSC is an effective mass transit agency? Yes or no?
Or no. Von Drayton says no. Huda Wells says no. Well, Kieran, Anthony Tinto. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you,
Lorna. Lorna. Morning, Lorna.
Ellen.
Morning, Indy.
Ellen.
Morning, Carly says no.
Ellen Prescott says no. Thank you, Huda. Right, those votes are kept streaming in quickly on that comment section.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's PTSC.
So our poll this morning.
Good morning to Nyla. Hope all is well.
Where you see Nyla?
Good morning. Good morning, caller. Not there. Nyla is on my phone. You may know her.
Okay. Yeah.
Relative of yours,
Yeah.
aka sister. She gave me some scores about your hair, boy. If I could only
Okay.
repeat them.
Bogain says, take 2 hell no's to the pool, gentlemen, from my beautiful wife and myself. And well, happy birthday. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
You and your wife.
Good morning to sexy San Fernando. Good morning to you. Always locked on every morning. All right. So, gentlemen, Evie is in. Evie, can you hear Richard? Can you?
No, I can't. But good morning, Richard, honey. How are you?
I am good, Evie. How are you?
I am good. I hear women calling. And you know,
Oh, that's why you have that upset look.
and
Fight,
I
Mrs.
I
R.
heard
Mrs. R.
I heard you getting a whole set of love today, Richard.
Yeah. You know, I receive love with open arms, Evie.
I know you usually do, Richard. You usually do.
Mrs. R. Listening, you know.
Is that who is Mrs. R? She's the one who called just now.
She's Mrs.
Yeah, she did.
But that's Mrs. R. She was there. She was the one who called just now.
Yeah.
Hi, Mrs.
Yeah.
R. Good morning. There were many there before you. Have a good one.
I think she just got to you.
Malik says no. And happy but thank you, Colonel Joseph. And Ray. Thank you, Ray. All right.
It's
All
called
right.
Good Morning,
News
Paul
French.
Richards. Oh, sorry, Dr. Richards.
Ignore you, boy.
Apparently.
All right, let's get into 7:00 major news. As you all can hear, Evie is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
OSHA begins investigations into WASA workers' death. Ministry of Social Development and Family Services prepare to render assistance to family of toddlers living in squalor. NITCO's president defends PP's handling of the Point Fortin highway deal. And Minister of Social Development says so far this year, 216 cases of elderly abuse have been reported. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bob. Good morning. The Occupational Safety and Health Agency says that an investigation has begun into the death of WASA worker Kern Etienne, who died after being buried alive in a trench she was working in along the Rienzi-Curtin Highway, San Fernando, on Sunday. According to Guardian Media, OSHA Executive Director Carolyn Sancho said yesterday that the authority is currently investigating the incident. She revealed that inspectors had already been assigned to the case. Meanwhile, WASA CEO Kelvin Romain revealed that an internal investigation separate from the OSHA probe had been started also. He revealed that he personally visited the Etienne family to offer his deepest condolences. Romain said WASA's Human Resources Department has also started counseling for the employees who were at the site. A team of officers from the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services through the National Family Services Division has been assigned to visit and assess the parents of two toddlers who were picked up by officers of Maloney Police Station recently. From news reports, Kwesi Squires, the father of the children, and his wife are both alleged as having intellectual disabilities, and as a consequence, the toddlers were found unsupervised when the TTPS visited the house located at Lamppost 5 Jordan Trace, Salmon Drive, Red Hill, Dabity. During the visit, the ministry conducted an assessment and advised the family of the grant offerings available to them given their living conditions at this time. Psychosocial support and counseling were also offered to the family. The NFSD intends to work closely with the Children's Authority to determine and develop an effective intervention strategy to rehabilitate this family unit. Former National Infrastructure Development Company Limited President Dr. Carson Charles is insisting contractor Constructadora OAS was not overpaid, but received money for work that was done in the construction of the Point Fortin Highway extension and the opening of the Archibald De Leon Highway and extension of the Solomon Hochoy Highway to Point Fortin. Recently, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the state may still have to pay over $1 billion to the former contractor due to a clause that was removed from the contract during the tenure of the People's Partnership government. However, filling in as a temporary senator for Damian Lyde on Monday, Mr. Charles, who was NIDCO's president during the start of the project, denied OAS is still owed over $1 billion. Mr. Charles said up until 2015, he was able to oversee 61% of the highway's completion, claiming only the best consultants were hired to work on the project.
No, full well, no clause was removed from the contract. Addendum 2 did not remove any clause. I've said it over and over. What happened? It did not. No clause was removed. No, I'm telling you, the clause was not actually removed. At no time was OAS overpaid. Why you keep on saying that they were paid $5 billion and the job only reached half? When that is not true, when the total amount of money ever received on the job was $5.1 billion. As though we so love OAS. Who is OAS? I have no idea who they are. I did not know who they are. I met them for the first time in 2010. OAS. You wasn't there. For the very first time in my life.
More than $3 billion in investment came from the non-energy sector between 2021 and 2022. This situation realized over 2,000 jobs. The exact figure is 2,905, according to Minister of Trade and Industry Paula Gopiskun. In terms of what is described as closed investment, the amount reached $1.5 billion, which resulted in 1,453 jobs. Speaking during the budget debate in the Parliament on Monday, it was revealed foreign direct investment stood at $1 billion, while local investment was $2.5 billion.
Those that we are involved with through the Ministry of Trade and through Invest TT, more than $3 billion TT dollars in investments on the non-energy side. And if I were to break that down in terms of foreign direct investment, $1 billion, and local direct investment, $2.2 billion, and all amounting and contributing, to 2,905 jobs.
The economy was described as being in a healthy position, with the manufacturing sector doing well and even signs of growth being observed.
Non-energy exports increased by 15% from $15.6 billion to $17.9 billion over the period 2021 to 2022. And those figures are minus petrochemicals, methanol, urea, and ammonia. Pleased in particular about the growth in the food and beverage sector, valued at $3 billion, increasing by 22% from 2021.
You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. So far this year, 216 cases of elderly abuse have been reported. 34 of the cases happened in homes for the elderly, while 182 were in private residences. Minister of Social Development and Family Services Donna Cox made the disclosure during her input to the budget debate in the Senate on Monday. Minister Cox said action is being taken to address this serious development, one of which is collaborating with the police service. Ms. Cox said her ministry is also reviewing the relevant legislation.
And 34 in homes for older persons. A total of 260 cases were reported in fiscal 2022 at private residences, and that is a decrease of 78 for last fiscal. In 2022, there were 37 cases reported in homes for older persons, a decrease of 3 persons. We will continue to engage in increased collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to ensure that reported incidences of elder abuse are thoroughly investigated. We have received comprehensive feedback from the Ministry of Health with regards to the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services proposed amendments to the Act. The recommendations have been considered with a view to incorporating them into the revised legislation.
Straight into weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago fair and hazy conditions can be interrupted at times by late morning to afternoon showers near western and hilly areas. There's the medium chance some of these showers could become heavy and/or thundery. Nightfall initially fair night, becoming partly cloudy with isolated showers close to midnight. Gusty winds, street or flash flooding, and frequent lightning may occur in the event of heavy showers or thunderstorms. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 33 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 24 degrees Celsius. It is 29 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines at 7 o'clock, OSHA begins investigations into WASA worker's death. Ministry of Social Development and Family Services prepared to render assistance to family of toddlers living in squalor. NIDCO's president defends PP's handling of Point Fortin highway deal. And Minister of Social Development says so far this year, 216 cases of elderly abuse have been reported. I'm Avril Sintel-Bob. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail coming up at 12 noon today and an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Avril, for our major news. You can join her again coming up at 8 o'clock for our news brief. And then with Sir Charles coming up at noon today for another major newscast. Let's take a look at what's happening on the highways and on the byways. Let's not take a look at what's happening on the highways and the byways. Dago, Maraval, St. Anne's, Lower Santa Cruz, Eastern Main Road, pretty much from Tacarigua heading to Mova. You've got traffic. Kelly, Ibis Gardens to Curep. Ooh, boy, I tell you. Rivulet Road is heavy. And San Fernando, yep, you're getting a bit heavy. Golconda Connector Road to Ruba Link Road, Sapera Road, passing through by Bellevue, you've also got traffic. And of course, County Hall, yeah, and Bonaventure Road also got traffic. That's in the south end. But the Solo is pretty much clear until you get to just after Chaguanas. Bono Road is beginning to build. All right, that's quick traffic up for you. And see if we have any more votes. Okay, nothing new. Nothing new. All right. Of course, 13 minutes after the hour at 7 o'clock today is Dr. Rowley's birthday. It's also Richard's birthday. I'll say it again. And Brother Resistance, his birthday would have been celebrated today, together with our good friend Christian.
Any additional votes, Steve?
And in Toronto's birthday, Jillian Ramdeen. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, got the results there, Richie Rich?
Yeah, any additional votes, or that was it?
Sorry?
Any additional votes?
Tally. Wheels are moving.
Okay, no, I don't think so. Anyway, well, our poll this morning was, do you think that PTSC is an efficient public transport system, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And we had 26 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. And of the 26 people that voted, everybody said no. They do not think that PTSC is efficient as a mass transit agency. And so that's 100%. It's one of those few polls where you get completely 100% saying absolutely no.
Yeah. I mean, I got a WhatsApp here of the transit system out of New York. They have an app called MTA, and they have subway, bus, and rail. And yeah,
Urban, Steve, it's like people with 3 bicycles have an app. PTSD taking a year and a half to develop an app. People with 3 bicycles have an app. It's that delivery service to delivering food and groceries have an app.
Have an app.
PTSD
not serious. They need to get the act together. The buses
no,
are.
They don't need to get the act together. Anyway, why you just tap? Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
Hello.
Before
I didn't.
I'm on a tangent at PTSD this morning.
Yeah.
You don't want to put another gray hair there, Paul.
You understand? Thank God it's not daughter used PTSD for the last 40 years.
Well, I take bus very regularly in England, so I know how important it is to the transport system. So we really should be fixing these things.
Yeah.
The state commission give us an app.
I don't even know who's the new chairman of PTSD now.
It don't matter, Steve. It don't matter who the chairman is. Anyway, good morning. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Jason Jones. Thanks for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
All right. We have this matter that's been pending for a while. I don't know how it takes so long to reach the appeal court in Trinidad, because those matters usually reach the appeal court much more quickly than this has. It's been ongoing since the previous AG was in office, that is Faris Al-Rawi, who was waiting, whose response when asked about the matter, and it has to do with, correct me if I'm wrong, sodomy laws in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Being struck off the books. You've been advocating for that. And the AG said, let it go through the court system. He presumed that at some point it would reach a Privy Council, and then it will become settled though. Just give us some back context as to where this point of advocacy started for you and why.
Well, as you know, it's public knowledge now, I am openly gay, and I was born and grew up in Trinidad. And since 1962, when we became independent from Britain, these old British colonial buggery laws have remained on our books. And even though the laws are not used punitively, we don't see gay men being arrested and charged with buggery. But having laws like this on our books encourage homophobia by the general population against the LGBT community. What is also worth noting is, even though these original laws were British colonial era laws, our independent parliament went into the law in 1976 and extended the jail time from 5 years to 15 years. They then went back into the buggery law in 1986 and extended the jail time a further second time to 25 years. And at the same time in 1986, our parliament created something called the Serious Indecency Sexual Offences Act, and that criminalized all adult consensual acts between women. So it wasn't good enough to go after the gay men, they went after lesbian women as well. So we're not just talking about the British colonial historical past of homophobia, we're also talking about the homophobia that exists in our own parliament. And if you look at the 2000 Equal Opportunity Act, that was created to protect the rights of our citizens, and LGBT people are expressly denied. So homophobia has a very warm welcome in our parliament, and that must be addressed. And that's why I brought this case against the government.
Yeah. Well, the point at which the case was first filed was in what year?
I filed in 2017.
And you got the decision, the first decision at the High Court level in the same, it wouldn't be the same year.
No, I won at the High Court in 2018.
2018.
Yes.
And you won and the state appealed.
Sorry?
You won and the state appealed.
Yes, yeah, but we expected that. I mean, that is the usual process in a constitutional matter like this.
What was the main argument the state used to proffer that they didn't think that was a productive engagement?
Well, you know, of course, I'm not a lawyer, and I know most of the listeners would not be aware of how the law works, but I won the case on 6 points of human rights. The Attorney General is not challenging any of that victory. The only part of the judgment that he is challenging is the sidestepping of the savings clause. For the listeners that don't know, in our Constitution, Section 6 of our Constitution is a savings law clause, and that clause insulates from legal challenges all laws below it. So the Buggery Act, death penalty, all of these laws, nothing. We are at a logjam in terms of our rights as citizens of this country. So what happened with my case is the judge agreed with my lawyers, saying that the savings laws did not insulate the Buggery Act because the government had gone into it twice and changed the jail time. That means it's no longer a saved law. And the judge agreed with me, and that's how I won. The Attorney General is now saying, no, you must uphold the savings law. And if the judges agree with him, well, guess what is going to happen in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago? a British colonial era law is going to be reinstated in our constitution. Now, for a modern day republic to be doing that kind of thing, we need to look very seriously at what our government is doing.
Well, it wouldn't be reinstated in our constitution, be reinstated as legislation. But the savings clause argument is something that crops up for different issues from time to time, including the death penalty.
Yes.
I know it has cropped up from time to time. Is it that you expect, we don't know how the Court of Appeal is going to look at it when you have the arguments presented on both sides. I assume you have a stellar legal team.
Yes.
Treating with the matter. Can you mention them, or you prefer not to?
Yeah, my lead counsel is Richard Drabble KC, and Richard is British and white, but I've chosen him because he has the second highest number of successful appearances before the Privy Council, which again is such an anomaly for Republican states that we still go to white men in Britain to get our laws decided. So, I chose Richard because he's been so successful in other cases before the Privy Council, and I knew that this case would become before the Privy Council. And my local counsel is Rishi Das, who, again, very intelligent lawyer who teaches constitutional law at UWI. So he's very knowledgeable about these issues. And, the fact that we had such a stunning victory in 2018, and it must be noted that victory has been used in arguments to decriminalize the largest democracy in the world, India. So we're talking over 100 million LGBT people are free in India because of a judgment made in our country. Also, in the last year, we had decriminalization victories in Barbados, Antigua, St. Kitts Nevis, and again, the Trinidad and Tobago judgment was used in all of those cases. So I don't see appeal court judges overturning a judgment that has had so much influence around the world.
We're talking about this situation. You cited two LGBTQI premises for your advocacy.
Yes.
And you won on 6 points of human rights. Why should this case be important to the wider population, not diminishing the importance of the community and what they will gain from it, but it must at some point broaden so that the wider population understands it's a human rights issue and not only an LGBTQI issue?
Well, the thing that I think is most important for people to understand about this case is the constitutionality of it. And that the central point about this case is the rights of the individual beyond what happens in our courtrooms and in our parliament, right? This law, if this law was in my bedroom. Now, we can't have laws like that. Those are invasive acts against our privacy and our rights and freedoms. And that impacts on every Trinbagonian. I've had Trinbagonians ask me, well, Jason, you've done this. How do I do this? And that's the importance. It's about empowering ourselves to be in control of our own destinies. And if the government is not protecting us, then we must have the right to take this to the courts and get our justice within the courts. And I really hope that's what people see that I'm doing.
Well, in a country like Trinidad and Tobago, you know what's going to happen. We're going to go down the rabbit hole of religion.
Yes.
Well,
Right?
that's going to be a point of advocacy. Many people are saying, well, this is just the first door being opened, and next is going to be gay marriage, and next is going to be this, and next will be transgender rights. You know how the progression goes.
Absolutely.
How do you navigate those issues that are going to come up?
Yes.
Because one way or the other, there's going to be commentary in it as the people have the right to comment. And the commentary is very often not going to be only based on legal arguments, but religious arguments, morality, etc. How do you navigate that?
Well, if you look at the history of religion in Trinidad and Tobago, we are one of the most diverse religious cultures in the world. And for example, if you look at Shelter Baptists, they were illegal until about 40 years ago. So, what we have to understand is the right of the individual, the right and freedom for you to practice whatever religion you choose. That's the same right that I am demanding, the right to do whatever I want in privacy of my own bedroom. And we cannot have rights being decided by the majority. Whatever you decide to do on a Sunday morning is your business. Whatever I decide to do in my bedroom is my business. And we must allow that freedom of expression and that right to privacy. So I appreciate everybody has their own beliefs about their gods and whatever, but you can't force that down my throat. And to tell me that I'm forcing down my rights and freedoms when you already enjoy them is rubbish. And we must call that out. Our parliament is filled with people who practice different religions, but they come in there and they rule for all of us. And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking for the same rules to apply for me.
Yeah. I know the issue of, coming back to the savings clause issue, I was puzzled at the point in time when Faris Al-Rawi, as then AG, appealed, even though I think there was probably a political component to the appealing because of the issue and the conservatism that still runs as an underbelly across the country. So it's not surprising, but I thought it was a little strange because I thought the savings clause argument was solid. Because when you do constitutional law as a lawyer, anytime the law is interfered with, it usually comes out of the savings law protection, which is the argument you're making at the start of this conversation. So do you expect, are you optimistic about what decision the Court of Appeal may give in looking at the issue, or you're not optimistic, or you just in a area where you're not really optimistic or not? You're just waiting to see what happens?
Well, I'm very optimistic for two reasons. Number one, our pool of judges all come from the same pool, and it's a very small pool of judges. So they all come from a certain background and a certain knowledge of the law. So when you see a case like this and a judgment, a really historic judgment that was handed down by Justice Devendra Ramprasad, that's being used around the world, that's being taught at law schools. This case is being taught in constitutional classes of law schools around the world. It's that important. So you're not going to have it overturned. There's no way. Now, the argument about the savings clause, of course, is going to rage on and on and on. But the importance of this case is that it's brought it to the courts in a very powerful way and shown that it cannot be holding back modern progressive societies, which is what it's trying to do with this law. So I think our judges are understanding the importance of this judgment, not just for the LGBT community, but for constitutional reform in Trinidad and Tobago as a Republican nation. That has to begin to happen. And even though our parliamentarians may not have the testicular fortitude to change laws like this to protect the citizens, our judiciary are showing that protection. And that's the
strangely enough, Jason, when we interviewed a lot of the parliamentarians from both sides, when they were going into the election, of course, one became the opposition, one became the ruling government. And we interviewed members from both sides on this Power Breakfast show. We often ask them a range of questions at the end of what's their position on X, Y, Z. And we always bring up LGBTQ rights, we bring up the death penalty, drug usage, different issues. But we always bring up LGBTQ rights. And I want to say 90%, if not 99%, of the parliamentarians we have interviewed, let me say 90%, have said that yes, it should be something that should be legalized and the rights of the LGBTQI community should be protected. That's what they've said in interviews with us. And I mean,
yeah, but the problem is you can talk all the hot air, but where is the actual action? We have never had a member of parliament say anything about the situation in the House, in both houses. So, I don't want to hear talk hot air on a radio station. I want to hear what you are saying in the chamber regarding the issue, and not one single member of parliament has brought.
But that's not true, because I understand that Danisha Mahabir brought it up at one point, and also I think Dr. Varma Dayal Singh also brought it up at one point. But it's not fair to say that it has not been brought up. It's whether the government, which has most of the power, not all of the power, decides to champion it and have a philosophical position in it as a government, as opposed to take, to me, the easy way and have it roll through the courts.
Right.
Because of the potential political fallout from their base.
Yes, but it's not just about these laws that are impinging on the rights and freedoms of LGBT citizens. There are 27 pieces of legislation that are homophobic. Things from the Immigration Act to the Cinema Act to the Hotel Room Act. It goes on and on and on. So, we're talking about a very big issue, and, I'm the first person to really take it to the courts, and, that's the beginning of it.
Is it that what's the broader scope of success with, let's assume you are successful at the Court of Appeal level, of course, then the state of Trinidad and Tobago will have to decide whether they're going to go to the Privy Council, or they're going to seek leave to appeal.
Yes.
I mean, they could make the decision not to seek leave, because it's always an expensive venture to go to the Privy Council.
I know.
So they may not want to. But even if they did, is it that you prefer that it goes to the Privy Council, that it be
Absolutely. It has to be settled at our apex court. If you don't settle it at the apex court, then it leaves open for review so many other issues. So a final appeal court judgment is not just important to Trinidad and Tobago. It would also seal decriminalization for 11 other countries. So this is some big stuff. It's not just about us, and we have to realize that as well. There are loads of countries in the Caribbean that have the exact same law and also have the Privy Council as their Supreme Court. So my judgment will affect all of them as well.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty landmark case. How important is it also for you in the context of a wider, hopefully dispassionate discussion in society? Because people don't necessarily divorce emotion from these issues, because they are socialized in a particular way, and they see the world through, in many cases, highly religious lenses, and they're not arguing law, they're arguing personal belief systems, and the conversation about, well, as I said before, you could live your, quote unquote, you could live your life how you want, but just trust your life on me.
Yes.
But as I said before,
right.
They seem to be able to process the reverse.
Yes. Well, what I would say is, over the last 5 years, the communications I've received have been incredibly empowering. I've had messages from young people saying, thank you for doing this. You have changed my feeling as being a citizen. I now feel I belong in my own country. And these are small spaces of growth, but it's important. And this is why I'm doing this. It's not for the old battle axes and the dinosaurs who, do talk all of that garbage. We have a modern progressive nation before us, and our youth are going to be carrying that flag. So what I'm doing today is not going to bear fruit in the next 5 years. I'm talking about what is happening 10 years, 20 years down the road when we're not here any longer. That's what I'm doing this for. And I don't care what the pushback is today, because I know what I'm doing today is going to bear fruit 20 years from now.
I hope you can take some calls, because sometimes the audience has questions to us. But we live in a society where, even recently, a young man was killed, murdered, on Lady Chancellor, yes. And the body is covered in female garb. And the focus was not on his life lost, but yes. on the female garb. Yes. So we always have to seem to navigate the real issues in this country, yes. without them being muddled and yes. contaminated in some instances by ignorant statements, yes. And I'm not diminishing anybody's belief system. People have the right to believe what they want to believe and live their lives as they want to live them. But that doesn't seem to translate to everybody, right? Somebody must live their life according to how I believe, and they don't understand that it has to be, everyone has that agency for independent thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's what this case is about. It's about challenging that belief system that people can judge others, and the courts can judge others, and the parliamentarians can judge others, regardless of the actual rights and freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution. That is the central focus here. We have a Constitution that protects every citizen. Right now, it doesn't protect me. It actually criminalizes me. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
All right, 222-TALK, 222-8255, 612-8255. And if you're calling from North America, it's 203-866-525-1019. Our guest is activist. Is that a proper title for you, activist Jason Jones?
Yeah,
legal luminary now.
I I actually refer to myself as a human rights defender because I also am very much about the intersectionality of all marginalized voices. So I very much look at feminism. I very much look at racism. I'm also very interested in what the future is for our planet. You know, you can't be talking about human rights and not be caring about rising tides. These are all interconnected conversations and all interconnected fights that we must be fighting.
Yeah. So why you said earlier on that you wanted to go to the Privy Council. What do you expect of the Court of Appeal, if anything, as Richard asked you earlier, on tomorrow? What has the temperature litmus been from your feedback from your attorneys?
Well, you know, the Attorney General has not challenged my victory on the human rights grounds. He has not challenged that at the appeal court. The only challenge is the savings clause. Now, that should trigger judges to say, oh, wait a minute, the original judgment was very safe. He's not going after it. He's going after a very old piece of legislation that is a logjam to our Constitution. So the conversation for our judiciary is, do we want that in our Constitution? And for any citizen to think that we are still holding on to British colonial era laws in our Constitution, that sounds very wrong for a Republican nation. Why is that still there?
But couldn't be a strategy on behalf of the Attorney General saying, you know what, we don't want to make this decision and have an outright statement on it. But you know what? Let's find one piece of challenge that is not going to run afoul of our principles as a party, as a government. Push it to the appeal court and let it be settled by the Privy Council. So we didn't make the decision. We're following the supreme law of the final appellate court of the land, and that is what happened.
I can't put words in the Attorney General's mouth, but I am in complete agreement with you. I think that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we do have some calls coming through. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I just have a comment to make, gentlemen, and to everyone.
Go ahead.
The need of the many is greater than the need of the one.
No, I can't agree with that, caller. I'm very sorry. I have to stop you right there. This is about the citizen. This is the right of every citizen. Every individual carrying a Trinidad and Tobago birth paper and passport has the same right. It's not about the needs of the many. We can't live our lives like that, where the majority have the power over the minority. That's slave business, and I hope we're past that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you protecting minority rights, I think is what you're really saying.
Right? Yeah. If you choose to smoke, I have no problem with that, but don't come in my space.
Well, I'm not coming in your bedroom to do anything, sir, so you're safe.
Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
Morning.
Steve.
Good morning.
Morning, Gemma. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, is this Gemma? Good morning, Gemma.
Yes. I just called to tell my little darling happy birthday, Richard.
Thank you, Gemma.
Blessings. May you
right, love you.
Many more. Okay?
All righty.
I'm gone. I don't get you all the way at all, only on phone. Okay. Right.
All right, cool.
Happy birthday, my love. God bless you. Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Gem. Yes.
You sure you want God to bless you? You know you have some issues with that.
But well, you take things from wherever point it comes. I'm not intense about it, Paul, in that sense. But yes, but the protection of minority rights, a lot of times people conflate the issue about, like that last caller, the needs of the many. But all societies, especially democracies, always have a balancing act about, because democracies strive to be inclusive. And I know in universities, what they call it DEIB. Is it DEIB? Diversity, in the whole issue of diversity inclusion.
DEI, diversity inclusion. What's the other one?
Equality. Is it equality?
Equality. Yes.
And so I think it's all about that. How do democracies particularly manage the rights of minorities in equalizing the access to the same services that sometimes they're discriminated against.
Yes.
And oftentimes people don't see LGBTQ rights in that regard because they're coming from the lens of a religious framework. They see it through eyes of, whatever religious belief system they have, rather than the practicality of the law and access of a citizen to the particular rights.
Yes.
Whether it be the right to marry, whether it be the right to NIB payments, because you have the issue of intestacy and the rights of partners living together who are same-sex, which happens in the country whether people want it or not. It happens.
Yes.
And you have long-living partners. One dies, and the rights of intestacy don't flow. So family members come in, and a partner who could have been there for 30, 40 years is suddenly...
But even visitation in end-of-life stages.
Yes.
Yeah. Becomes
an issue. As simple as that, becomes
these are all part of the 27 laws I'm talking about that are discriminatory against LGBT people. So, this is only one part of the fight. But I thought, I've been an activist for 35 years. I've also been very active in the United Kingdom. And what most people don't know is I was part of a team that changed the law in the United Kingdom in 1997. So it respected the rights of same-sex couples. So I've been doing this a long time. And I've now changed the laws in 2 countries. So I know what I'm talking about. And I know what I want as a human being. And what I want is exactly what every other human being has. And
because of your history, do you think there's a different kind of, I don't know if pushback is the word, in a country like Trinidad and Tobago compared to the work you've done in the UK? Is there a difference in the thing?
The gay rights movement has had the same pushback in America. It's had the same pushback in Europe. So this is nothing new.
How do you get past how do you get on common ground? Because an argument has to start at some common ground at some point. A discussion, I should say, right? A debate has to have a starting point where both entities agree, well, it is day now.
Yes.
We all agreed 7:42.
Yes.
We all agreed Tuesday.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And then we can start a discussion. What do you think is the common ground here that no matter what your perspective is in this debate, we can start from? Because that's the only way that a discussion can really move forward in a sane, rational manner. If we can't agree to this Tuesday, if we can't agree to 7:43, if we can't agree that we're both human beings with the right to espouse our views, then we can't go nowhere.
Well, that's the common ground is our Constitution. Our Constitution states certain rights, protections, and freedoms. Now, that stands for anybody carrying a Trinidad and Tobago birth paper and passport. Now, the Constitution, before my case, criminalized acts that I was doing in privacy with an adult. This is where the common ground is. You can't muddy the waters of the Constitution with whatever belief you have in a God, right? Our Constitution is godless. Our Constitution stands for the rights of men and women and children. And that's where the common ground is. And that's why I took the fight to the courts, because I knew I was not going to win this in a church. I'm not going to win this on the street. I had to take it to the common ground. And our common ground is our justice system.
Yeah. But didn't the law at the time also criminalize sodomy between heterosexuals too?
Yes, absolutely. I have had straight couples thank me for this.
Yes, it did. It did. Heterosexuals were also affected by the law.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it was actually legislating against all of that. That whole savings clause, as a student of law, I remember when I was doing law, a few years ago when I became a lawyer, just a few, Paul. And and I remember I was always confused with the issue of that savings clause. I never understood why the framers of the Constitution included something that was so contrary to what the Section 4 and 5 protections afford citizens.
Exactly.
Why would you include something like that? I never understood it. I never got the opportunity to ask Ellis Clark, because I think he was one of the framers at the time.
Yes.
But I just never understood what was the thinking back in 1962 when they were framing this constitution that they would include that savings clause, because some Caribbean countries don't have a savings clause.
Yeah,
Some
it's
do,
very,
but some don't.
it kind of, in the Commonwealth, some have the savings clause, some don't. But, you know, because I live in London, I actually went to the room where our constitution was drawn up at Commonwealth House in London, because I'm very much a student of history, and I love to know how all of these things happened. And to be honest with you, nobody can tell me who inserted the savings clause into our constitution. Nobody's owning up to that. But my feeling is this is my theory. I think when they sat in that room, and it was our British colonizers and of course our about to become independent parliamentarians deciding on the constitution, I think an agreement was reached that if remember this was a new thing, independence was a new thing, nobody knew if it was going to work or not. And I think Britain said, put this in there so that you don't have a rush on your constitution of people challenging these laws. And also, I think there was a little bit of a backdoor kind of understanding, you know, if they fail, if this independence experiment failed, and we, Britain, have to come back in and save the day, the savings law clause will protect all the things that we stand for. I think that's what happened.
Not everything they wanted happened in that room. Eh? Remember that?
Exactly.
They were petitioning for independence. They weren't demanding independence.
Well, I mean, you know, from India go back, there was a huge demand for independence. So no,
yeah, but the demand, the way independence came about in that constitution, that 61 constitution into 62 constitution came about, was you had to literally go and argue your case.
Yeah, it was a negotiation.
It wasn't just for independence, you know, because you were operating under a particular set of laws, which is the British laws. So to overturn that and enshrine a new set of laws, you had to argue a case.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, if you're sat in that room and you're having these serious negotiations, and one is saying, well, you know, I want to be able to come back in when and how I see fit. You know, who else would put a savings law clause in a newly independent constitution, except your old masters?
Well, because they put a lot of stuff in there that we didn't, you know.
I mean, interesting perspective. I get, interesting perspective. And
we do have a call, gentlemen. Good morning.
Had a call. How do you respond to comments like this? And I'll bring it up.
You know, again, I know how challenging this is for people. You know, every Sunday you go into church and they tell you that this is wrong, and you know this has been browbeaten into particularly Christians. But we're now seeing the growth of this of homophobia in all religions. And you know, I myself, I was brought up a Catholic. My grandmother played the organ in St. Patrick's Church. I was a church boy. I was an acolyte. I did altar service. The whole thing. So for me, it was very challenging to step away from, you know, that belief system and to embrace who I am authentically. So I understand that. The reason why I brought this case was because I knew you can't fight that there. You had to fight it in the courts. What we need to do is to make sure that we're protected in the Constitution, and then you can do the work. But it had to begin somewhere.
How do you respond to people who say, well, and this is a typical response. While you are trying to assert your rights, you are trampling on my rights.
Well,
and
you know, I mean that is always a dog whistle, you know. Oh, you're hurting me. But you know, if you have the privileges, and you're saying that I asking for my privileges is problematic for you, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to agree with you. And also, you know, I think those that have no sin cast the first stone. You can bet the person that calls me a sinner is either divorced or they've broken some other law of their own religion. And, you know, this hypocrisy is something that is all pervasive in society. You know, people will say, oh, you're a sinner, but behind closed doors, they're sinning themselves. So I don't know.
When we start the argument from who or what is sinning, and the same book that people are quoting from say we are all sinners, You understand? I don't know where the argument can go from there, but I guess in the issue, there are perceptions that some sins, in parentheses, are greater than other sins.
Yes.
You know, and that is where some of the conversation rolls to. How do you respond to that?
Well, you know, the first thing that Justice Rampasad said in this case was he held his hand up to the courtroom and myself as the claimant, and he said, listen, I am a Hindu pundit in my private life. I am a man of God, but I am not going to have my courtroom turned into a pulpit. This is a case about the citizens' rights. And he held his hand up and said, you know, I have religious convictions, but I will not bring them into this court. And that's what we have to do in all of these matters. We have to leave our personal beliefs at the door and make sure that we're looking after the needs of the country and the nation and what is right for every citizen. What is right for one person is not right for the other. If somebody wants to be vegan and not eat meat, a meat eater can't come and force meat down that person's throat. That's that person's choice. But we must have freedom of choice in a Republican democratic nation.
Yeah, the thing. Any causes, Steve? Any you want to add in closing, Jason? Interesting conversation. Should be interesting. I'll be riveted tomorrow to see what the Court of Appeal says, as you said. I think this is my opinion. I think the overall plan from the state, meaning the government, is that, you know what, we will just let the law take its course because it's a legal matter, and let it be settled by law and the law lords and the courts, and then we can say, well, we are a government that follows the law, which has been the case in many other situations, not necessarily related to this in the country.
I agree with you. I think that's exactly what's going on. And I think that's the right course because remember, you know, our Constitution is our law. And, you know, what I'm challenging is within the framework of our Constitution. So I think they're doing the absolute right thing. I know that it is challenging for the majority of Trinbagonian citizens, but, you know, human rights cannot be trampled on because of your belief. What you do in church on a Sunday cannot impact on what I do in my bedroom on a Saturday. You cannot do that to human beings. We come from a history of abuse, of slavery, of indentured labor. You know, we cannot continue this to treat human beings differently. All of us are equal under the eyes of the law. And here I'm doing what I'm trying to do to find an equal place in my country. That's all I'm asking, an equal place.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jason.
Thanks a lot, Jason. And
we'll be back on for a bit on Thursday morning to just discuss whatever the court.
That'd be great. I'd love that.
Wrap up and conclude. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Wishing everybody a great day. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right.
So, I always like to hear how these cases evolve as a person who happens to be a legislator, because the law is really what governs how we operate and relate to each other in society. You know, the way that society structures our relationships with each other and what we're allowed to do and not do. So it'd be interesting to see.
Well, we'll see how it all turns out in the court. But I don't know when the Court of Appeal give their judgment. Yeah, they could reserve judgment too. So anyway, we'll see how it all turns out. But best of luck to Jason in terms of, you know, upholding the decision that was made by Justice Rampasad.
You see. And the answer is, we're all sinners in this world. Well, we're not here to judge Morgains, but to be judged by God. Richard Duku says, why are we bringing the church into this? Because the church is often brought into it. You know. Brian Massa says, what the fault foot I'm hearing here. Karen now says, oh no, Devon, but I've had that app going long time. I don't know.
PTSD app?
Yeah. I don't know, it must be they're creating the best app in the history of apps, because it's taking like 2 years now. There's an app that on your phone that says, you know why they can't do the app? The app must be finished, you know. The app will say the bus delayed every day.
They're probably not enough buses. They're probably not enough buses. When they're bringing in buses, electric buses, I think they were bringing in electric buses, Paul. That's what they're waiting on.
Yeah, but they also change a lot of the buses commendably to CNG, if I'm not mistaken. Not so?
Yes, but they were also further. Hey, by the way, do you know there is now, like there is CNG, there is now LPG?
Cars?
Do you all know about that? That you can convert your car to an LPG kit.
Really?
And
Like cooking gas LPG?
Yes, and it basically halves, takes down your gas bill by 50%. Did you know about that? Did you know about that, Steve?
Sorry, say again?
About LPG, converting your gas. But you of course, you're still using gas if you want, but having an LPG conversion kit, it's like a cylinder from Ramco, eh? It's a,
LPG is like a cylinder from Ramco, yes, like gas.
LPG or CNG?
LPG, that you actually, it's a particular kind of cylinder that they attach to your vehicle, but in your trunk space, just like the CNG kit. And you can have a spare tank, so you can just replace it. So operating on that LPG, and you can replace it. And of course, if you have to use gas in an emergency, you could use your gas. But yeah, there is that now.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And it's free installation and stuff. You just have to go into a 5-year contract.
I know about the CNG, and Avril has CNG, and
yeah,
it's much more
it's
economical.
LPG now from Ramco. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep. And they say it takes down your bill by 50%.
Oh. But installation is free?
Installation is free, but you're going into it's free if you go into the contractual relationship.
5-year contract.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Right. Anyway, you all have a great day, a wonderful day. I know Richard has some things to tell us about what's coming up for the weekend.
we have well, it's the final show of Nikki 50ish Hot AF. So you have not seen it before. This is your last opportunity to see it, and you should see it.
It's Saturday and Sunday, one day.
Just one day, Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. at Cipriani College. It's one performance only. This is her last performance of the show. You should not miss it. Trust me, Nikki is doing incredible work. Incredible work. So much so that somebody came backstage, and I don't want to mention the person's name, but somebody in media and says, this should be a Netflix special. He came backstage and told me, Richard, it is that good.
Mm-hmm.
This should be like a special on Netflix. He said, it's that good. He said, it takes it to a completely next level in terms of anything he's seen, in terms of that kind of act and stuff in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is a seasoned person. I don't call the name because I didn't give me permission to call the name. But yeah, I'm telling you, she's doing some excellent work in 50ish Hot AF. You should not miss it. Trust me on this, people. So she's on for one night only. Again, this is her last performance at Cipriani College on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Tickets are already on sale. All outlets have tickets, from Electronics in Arima, Creme Fresh in Brentwood Mall in Chagonas, K-Square Fashion in Eastgate and West Mall. They have tickets. Crosby's has tickets in St. James, Jabili Rawi in Tunapuna, Shafle Auto Services, and Tony's Florals in Valpark Shopping Plaza, and of course, Fens of Trinidad and Tobago, previously Fens of Marabella, at Piarco Plaza. They also have tickets, so you can get tickets all over the place. And it's one night only. So I expect these tickets to go in a rush. This is her final performance of the show. And I think she's probably going to be touring in New York and stuff with it. You should not miss it. Trust me. It is hilarious. People say they laugh so much they cry.
Very good.
So Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. at Cipriani College.
I shall be there. You all have a wonderful day.
Yep. So have a fantastic day, whatever you do. Remember to smile and laugh. It's good for your health. And happy birthday to Dr. Keith Rowley, who is celebrating a birthday today. Today is also United Nations Day. I don't know what it means with reference to my birthday being on the same day as United Nations Day. But there is something. All right, have a good one.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to you guys bright and early come tomorrow.